Ugh. Hey guys, it is GT Gaming Den's The Lobby, bringing you yet another fantastic gaming podcast. And today's topic for today that I just came up with from out of the blue is health mechanics in gaming. And what spurred this idea was how in some games there's more advanced forms of healing mechanics that add more depth to the whole management of trying to survive. And there's just some that are so simplistic in nature, it just makes you wonder, how the fuck did these characters get such a high metabolism to heal from bullets and mortar fire?
Are you talking about the Call of Duty games?
Yeah, literally, like, you just get bombarded with bullets left and right, front and center, explosions, burns, stabs, punches, whole 9 yards, and all you gotta do is just hide behind a corner for like 5 seconds, and the red just magically disappears. Like, I wonder how the fuck that works, but,
I mean, they can't make everything always realistic.
well, yeah, I know, it's so the gamers can have fun, but then there's just some games that, decide to be challenging. Like, the best healing mechanic that I could think of at the top of my head in, like, the past 15 years or so is Far Cry 3. And there was an earlier form of that, I think, in Far Cry 2, but it was a lot more advanced in Far Cry 3. Have you played Far Cry 3 at all?
No.
Okay, small synopsis. You're a college bro that goes with a bunch of other college...
I've seen the gameplay of it, yeah. I have an idea. I know the basis of the story. So you don't gotta explain the story, but just go on with the health mechanics.
You dare fucking interrupt me. Don't you dare interrupt me again. So, college bro, with all his other college bros, go down to an island because they're a bunch of fucking preppy assholes. They get captured by pirates in reality and shores. So now you escape from the prison camp. You gotta rescue your other friends on the island and try to escape. And...
Can't you become a psychopath?
I mean, yeah, killing a bunch of pirates, sure, but beyond that, not really. But
you get the benefit of sleeping with somebody at the end, don't you? And then proceed to die.
Spoilers!
Bro, what the fuck? I'll just start putting every podcast just spoiler.
Ain't true. But, yes, you do get to sleep with a psycho bitch, kind of like what you go home to every night.
That is not true. I am in a relationship with an awesome woman. She's a hardworking woman.
Oh, yeah, I just realized...
Do not talk down on my woman or I will not post this podcast.
I just realized she'll probably hear this. All in good faith, dear. But, yes.
She knows what she is.
Well, you're just shooting yourself in the foot now! But anyway, yes, so that's like kind of the small synopsis of Far Cry 3, but beyond that, the gameplay is kind of cool. You go around the whole map, you unlock radio towers, you take over camps, typical Ubisoft gameplay, but there is the unique healing mechanic and how it's segmented in the bars, and once the whole bar depletes, you lose it for good unless you take a healing syringe, or if you don't have healing syringes, you can see unique healing animations, and that's what I kind of like. Like, let's just say a grenade blows up in your face. Somehow, conveniently, a shard from the grenade ends up in your hand, and you gotta pluck that fucking shrapnel.
Oh, those are really cool animations. I've seen like the whole myriad of them. They're pretty cool.
And,
I mean, extremely unrealistic, but really cool.
Unrealistic, but badass nonetheless. And that's like one of those healing mechanics I wish we could see more in other games, because I think I had this idea in my head in terms of Watch Dogs, another Ubisoft game. But I always hate the idea that the enemy could wear body armor and you can't. I wish there was like some sort of way that you can wear the body armor and it could add in like new animations and gameplay features. Like, let's just say you get shot in the chest and you have the body armor on, and as it, it can wear down your maximum health, but there could be like a unique healing animation where you're just literally plucking the bullets out of your fucking body armor, because as they're in the armor, it can cause you a little bit of discomfort. But that's another topic altogether in terms of like mechanics you could add into games to flesh them out or add in more layers to it. But yes, for Far Cry 3, there was those unique healing mechanics that I wish would appear in more games, but unfortunately they're never used because they're a simpler health regenerative mechanic is used in it. But what other games have you played that you've seen a unique?
What's your opinion on this? I've seen it in a few games and stuff where you get shot or you take damage from an explosive and things, where you end up getting that body part, like you start limping, or you take like severe damage from them, where it actually affects the actual overall gameplay.
The only game I can think of at the top of my mind that has something like that is Fallout.
I knew you were gonna say fucking Fallout.
I mean, it's like, I mean, it's true though, because you do have that limb system where if it gets wounded enough, it does affect the gameplay. If your leg gets wounded, you'll start running a lot slower, and I think you don't get the jump as high. I'm not so sure. If you get shot in the torso, your camera will shake, or if you get shot in the head, you start to get dizzy after a while, and the screen kind of like fades to black a little bit, and it comes back into focus. But beyond that, I mean,
do you think it's a good mechanic? I think it's a good mechanic. I don't think it should be in every game, but I definitely feel like for like survival games and things like that, it's definitely a good mechanic in those kind of games.
Yeah, I mean, some survival games do have like the whole idea that there's like hunger and thirst meters, but then there's just a simplistic healing mechanic that is dependent on how well those meters are kept, together, which I do appreciate that. But yeah, it would be nice if there was more like healing situations like that, because it would add in some extra, not necessarily realism, but it would add layers to the healing mechanic and make it a lot more a more interesting sight. Ooh.
But I mean, about some other games with different mechanics. What about the classic don't take more than 3 hits?
Oh, the retro 3 lies and you die. I guess it just depends on how the game is built. Like, obviously, I could see something like that working in a game like Undertale. I've never played it. I've seen some gameplay.
I don't think that game's a good representation of it. I think like towards what's a good game that I can think of that?
Spyro.
Like Spyro, yeah, with Sparks. Yeah, we were both thinking the same way.
Get out of my fucking head.
I was gonna say Ratchet and Clank, but you can upgrade your health in that game by paying money.
Get out of my fucking head. Fucking squatter. But yeah, that I guess more simple platformers would work, but I guess if it's like a more realistic like third-person shooter, I do feel that a more in-depth healing system would benefit those types of games.
About like the classic, not all the RPGs, but there's a handful, and there's probably some that still do it to this day, where you have dynamic health, like HP bars, right? Where you can take damage and train your HP stat. You know what I mean? Like, say you take like 20 damage, right? And you just keep letting enemies hit you, right? At the end of the battle, it'd be like, hey, you are able to, your overall HP is increased by like 10 points or something.
Right.
Like mechanics like that. Do you think those are good mechanics for health points?
I mean, I guess that kind of like leans more in the idea of like increasing an endurance stat, where when you take damage, it gives you like XP, and when you level that stat up, it does increase your max health. I mean, yeah, that does help, because it reminds me of a character, a comic book character, the Punisher, because all he does all day is literally just fucking hurt himself. So when these guys do attack him, he basically doesn't feel any pain. You remember that fucking video from our favorite YouTuber, Carl Smallwood?
Yeah, the one guy that we just sit there and watch together
all the time while eating unhealthy food. But he brought up the Punisher, I think, and how he just wounds himself every day so he can just basically null the pain. I mean, that would be an interesting idea, but I feel that, it'd have to be a little bit more in depth instead of, oh yeah, just get shot, boom, you can now tank an explosive. I feel there have to be like different layers to like different forms of resistances for that to possibly work out in some way, I guess.
What do you think about in the games where, instead of there just being like, hey, you just recover health over time, what about the games where you have to drink a potion or eat some food to regain your health? Do you think that makes sense?
I guess it depends on the item. Like let's say we go back to Fallout. I mean, they have the stem pack. I don't know how the stem packs work, but I assume it's injecting with something that gives you like a rapid boost of regenerative power. So as a result, it does give you that immediate boost to health. But in terms of something as simple as eating a little bit of food and your health starts recovering, yeah, that's not really too realistic. Like that should be more reserved for just like a food and thirst hunger type of mechanic.
Have you played You probably haven't played it on the hardest difficulty, but The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I think
Backlog.
there's a mechanic in there because I was going through it trying to beat it on the hardest difficulty, and
Masochist.
I think there's a mechanic in there. I can't remember. It's been a couple months since I touched the game, but there's you don't regain health unless if you I think you have to specifically have a healing item for it,
Mm-hmm.
or you have to eat food and you can't wait. You like need to be in a bed to actually recover.
Oh yeah.
Like you have to go out of your way to recover in the harder difficulties.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about games where it's like, okay, you can't recover at all.
You have to rest.
Like unless you're in a bed at the doctor's, someone's healing you the fuck up.
Yeah.
You can't do it yourself.
I mean, it does add an extra layer because you can't heal out in the field, so it's kind of like a risk and reward thing. Like, do you keep going out? Ooh, hello. You keep going out into the field to hunt for your spoils and rewards all while you're at very low health, or you only do it. You do it the safe way where you gotta keep going to a doctor, you gotta keep going to a bed to heal yourself, and you'll be in tip-top shape, but you might lose out on those particular rewards. But yeah, I guess it's not too bad, but there should be like some extra things you can do to possibly recover some health, even if it's like only limited time use things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just to switch it up here, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you prefer more? Do you just prefer using med packs and healing items to recover your health, or do you prefer the more simplistic, easy health regenerative aspects, even if there are like some extra layers to like only certain aspects can get refilled and you have to use other means of refilled lost bars?
Well, I'm always going to go with the option that's more difficult because that's just how I am. So, I mean, if it's the option like, okay, do I get auto recovery over time? No, I'm not going to take that option. I'm going to take the option where I have to use a specific item, and if I run out of that item, then, well, I'm shit out of luck. Like, similar to, like, The Last of Us Remastered I'm playing right now. You know, where you have to have a med kit because I don't recover health over time, at least not that I've noticed.
No, you can.
Yeah, no, you have to have a med kit. And,
Yep.
I mean, I'm like, I enjoy that because it's like you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Or just be a dumbass like me and proceed to run headfirst into every enemy and keep reloading because I have a PS5 and it loads really fast.
Ooh, look at him swinging his big PS5 cock. But
yeah, I mean, how many people got PS5s to this date?
Like 5 people maybe. But
every YouTuber has a PS5.
Oh well, yeah, because they're shills. But
shills. The fuck is a shill?
A shill.
The fuck is a shill?
You don't know what a shill is?
No, I don't.
Basically, a guy that sucks up to like a bigger corporation or somebody.
Well, not every YouTuber's like that, but yeah. I mean, like major YouTubers definitely get hand-me-downs.
Oh, of course. But in terms of the whole health regeneration thing, I'm mixed on it because I do like it because it's kind of like an easier function to manage, but it depends on how it's handled. If it's something like Call of Duty, yeah, I do kind of hate it because it's like it is really unrealistic how quickly your health can recover. I just wish there was like more in-war shit for regeneration. Like say, for example, Metal Gear Solid. Like the reason why Snake is able to recover his health all the way to max because he has these little bots in him called nanomachines that help with the healing process. That I can understand. Or what's another example? Let's just say if we're talking about mechs, we'll say they have like little nanobots that repair the hull over time. Like let there be like an actual in-lore explanation as to why you're able to heal some of the fucking damage and pain away. But
basically, sorry for interrupting you, but basically you just want more explanation to how some auto healing happens in games.
Yes, as opposed to just you're able to just snap back to 100% in an instant with no fucking repercussion whatsoever.
What's your opinion about games that take the health system to the extreme and make it like 100% realistic? Like I remember I don't know if they still do it because I don't know if Call of Duty still has like, do they still have single player campaigns?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Well, I remember in one of them, or it might have been in all of them. I haven't played all of the single player campaigns, but there was like the realistic mode where you just get shot once you're dead.
Yeah, it was veteran mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some bad memories of that. But I remember when I told you I actually managed to beat a couple of the campaigns on Verity, you just don't believe me.
Well, no, but I mean, like, you look at those games, and because I remember I tried to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is when I was much, much younger, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't as much of a masochist as I am now. But I mean, like,
Shocker.
back then, I mean, I remember trying to do it because I wanted the trophy or whatever for it,
Oh, yeah, same.
and I ran in there, died. I would kill all the enemies, and I'm pretty sure it was just an infinite spawn of enemies, and just gave up.
Yeah, it must have been one of the older games, but
I do remember though. I think I got shot in the arm in that game, and I still survived because of the auto healing.
Right.
And then proceeded to run out of cover and die.
But yeah, in terms of games like being a lot more realistic with the healing simulations, I haven't had that much experience with them, but they are a lot more interesting because there's a lot more, I guess, like risks and damage types. Like one of my friends, he plays Escape from Tarkov, and that's like one of those types of realistic damage simulations where depending on where you get shot, like certain things are restricted to you, and you gotta heal certain items. I do kind of appreciate that. It would be a little bit tense in a PvP aspect, and it is. That's what makes Tarkov so great. But I guess seeing some of that stuff in like more PvE or like single player games, that would actually be kind of cool because it would be more in depth, like what type of healing items you gotta use, which ones you have to, like what part of the body you have to manage to heal first as opposed to other ones, and what the upkeep. It's a lot more challenging, but it does add a lot more in depth to it and makes the gameplay more varied, I guess. So it could be definitely cool. It just depends if the developers are willing to take the time to implement something like that instead of sticking with the more tried and true 100% health bar that can regenerate depending on like what action or healing item you decide to use.
All right. Well, what about you just brought up PvP, right?
Mm-hmm.
In PvP games, I mean,
Yeah, those could be hectic.
I mean, with the health points and stuff in those games, I mean, I don't know. I've seen such a huge variety of how people do it.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, though, it seems like in those games that a lot of the times there's like a dedicated healer in those games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that explains away healing in those games for the most part.
Yeah, just use a healer to heal all of your fucking wounds in an instant, in a snap.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much diversity amongst PvP. Can you think of any, like, PvP game that did it uniquely?
Well, besides Tarkov, the whole, healing stuff, not really, because some of them just use the more simplistic ways. Either, you regenerate your health after a certain amount of time, or there's kind of a hybrid where you could still let your health regenerate, but because of how intense and short amount of time you have to yourself in those PvP situations, you may have to fall back on an actual healing item that could be provided by a medic, like in the case of Battlefield. There's something like that could be handy, which does remind me, a small tangent. You're not into the whole modding scene, but I just saw something recently on Nexus mods that I thought was kind of interesting. It's for Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. This chat of a lad made the med spray, first aid healing can, made by there's two names. There's the author Norum and the uploader Pentacoro. I don't know who made it exactly, but what I like about it is in Metal Gear Solid 5, it uses a traditional health regenerative system, similar to Call of Duty. If you wait a long amount of time, you start to heal. But obviously, it depends on your stance. That's where the extra layer is. If you're standing, it doesn't heal as quickly, but if you're laying still doing nothing, it heals a lot quicker. But there are some instances where you go into a loud situation, you can't heal your health quick enough, so you might go down. So, thankfully, after 7 long years, a modder comes around, he releases his healing can. I haven't used it yet, but what it does, it transforms one of the throwable items. It's called a bait bottle. It's supposed to lure animals to your location, I guess. And replace it with an interaction where if you press the triangle button while you have the item equipped, I assume, you pull out this spray. And what the spray is that in-game, it's meant for when you take a grievous wound, like you take an explosion, head first from a grenade, or somebody blasts you in the chest with a shotgun, you go into a slow-mo effect where you're critically wounded, and depending on like what wound you sustain, you'll suffer the effects from it until you heal if it can. Like you get shot in the leg, you can't run. You get shot in the arm, you can't use your gun, you can't aim it. But it's really hard to trigger it because 99% of the time it's just, oh, you get shot, you heal up a certain amount of time, and that's it. Man, I gotta condense this fucking talk here. but basically, what the mod does, it transforms the bottle into an actual usable spray that you can use whenever you want to heal yourself from a third of the health or down from 10% health all the way back up to 100. And I kind of like it because in some situations where you can't wait for the health factor, the regen factor to kick in, you can just spray yourself instantly and heal back up to 100. And there's still risks to it. You can choose to use it whenever you want. It still uses the resources of the bait ball, so there's still some loss to it. And it just adds in like an extra layer of gameplay where you can either fall back to the normal health regen, or you'll have a backup plan just in case. And it does fill in that small void that a lot of players lost, because back in the older games you had the handy dandy ration to refill your health back up all the way. And I think it's kind of cool, but that tangent out of the way, it sounds like a cool mod. I'm gonna have to check it out later and see how it works. But in terms of PvP, yeah, there are some instances of, there's either health regen, you can wait, or you can use a med kit to heal yourself back up. But as far as I'm concerned, that's all that I've seen, besides the whole MOBA healing class, healing everybody else with their magic spells.
Yeah. And there's another topic about the health points in gaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Now, I don't know if I've heard this as an argument, and I might be wrong if it has ever been argued as an accessibility issue.
What?
But HP as being an accessibility issue because there's not enough of it. Like in a game, like say like Elden Ring, for example, where you're fighting like a boss right at the beginning of the game, right?
Okay.
And you don't have a lot of health yet, because I mean, shit, you just started the game, but you're fighting an end game boss, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, can you see? Do you feel like it's an accessibility issue with people? Like, do you think it would help? Well, I'm basically getting at, right? Because I've heard people say games are too difficult, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, so if it's an accessibility issue because you suck or whatever, but you just don't want to admit it, if they just gave you the ability at the beginning of the game, nothing to, talk down on the player or something, because a lot of people, game companies get away from that. I mean, just give you an option like right at the beginning of the game, like, hey.
Here's double or triple your health one time. Well, obviously with like games like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, I feel the majority of people have to come in with the simple logic and knowledge that those type of games are...
Don't say that. I literally listened to... I wish I had the video clip for YouTube or whatever I seen it on, right? Where this guy literally sat down and argued the accessibility of the game being too fucking difficult based off the simple fact it's a fucking boss right at the beginning of the game.
What I was going to say was people have to go in with the knowledge that these are Souls games. They are meant to be fucking challenging. I feel that if a boss in the first 5 minutes didn't anally rape me, I feel like I got lied to. So in the case of an accessibility option, no. Because I feel that, as much as I'm the type of guy that wants an easygoing experience and I can feel overpowered, that would kind of like ruin the balance. So I don't think there should be an accessibility option like that. That's kind of like where it's kind of like an argument for having a difficulty mode, like having easy mode. But even then, a game like that doesn't really need a fucking difficulty mode because it's just there's meaningful game progression and all that shit.
I'm gonna say this. This will be a future podcast at one point.
Oh boy!
I'm gonna find the video where this guy sits down and like complains about the accessibility of Elden Ring, right?
Oh, so it's a React podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna tear down why the fuck 95% of what he says is not an accessibility issue.
Okay.
He just needs to shut the fuck up, stop crying. He sucks at the game, play something else.
Or, you know, or actually get good and, like, try to actually play it.
When I think of accessibility issues, I think, okay, it's assisting the colorblind, it's assisting people who are blind,
Right.
it's assisting people who have deformities, like have lost a hand or lost fingers or something.
Yeah.
Those are things that are making the game more accessible to a broader spectrum of people.
Yeah.
Accessibility does not mean making the game fucking a completely different game just for you because you're bad.
In that case, to bring up my fucking beef then in terms of accessibility, I love how we go from health regeneration mechanics to fucking accessibility, but whatever. That reminds me of the sequel to The Last of Us, because there's accessibility options in there. And some of those are really fucking crazy. Some of them minor, you know, adjusting the view distance of the enemy, being able to detect you to the point where if you're crawling and you enable it, you're permanently invisible to the enemy. Or, God forbid, you know, there's just one option, accessibility option, where you just have infinite lung capacity in water sections. How do you feel about those type of accessibility options?
What was the question?
Oh, it was just impromptu. No, I was talking about how Last was Part 2, there's some accessibility options, wherever it be, you go into crawling mode and you're just permanently invisible, or you have infinite, like, oxygen during water segments, underwater segments. How do you feel about those type of accessibility options? Do you consider those accessibility options, or do you think those are just glorified cheats, but they're covered with the whole idea of helping people that are having struggles with the game and need to be more accessible and open and easier?
What, the water sections in the game? I'm sorry, I zoned out because I was just looking at accessibilities for other games because I was really curious what the fuck won in the 2021 Game Awards accessibilities. So go ahead and repeat yourself for a third time.
Do I have to take the phone off? Are we in fucking class here? Are we in class here?
Take the phone off me, teacher.
Alright, so, my student, my Padawan, going off the whole accessibility stuff and, like, what this guy wants in Elden Ring, there's another game, the sequel to The Last of Us, Last of Us Part 2. There are accessibility options in that game that you can access from the start that have no bearing on the trophies at all.
Okay.
And there's some that are minor, you know, the ability to just crawl on the ground and you're permanently invisible to the enemy.
Why the fuck is that a mechanic?
And there's the other one where you can just have infinite lung capacity, infinite breathable oxygen during underwater segments.
Everyone hates underwater segments, okay.
Oh, God. But
name one underwater segment someone likes.
God of War.
When? The fuck are you underwater in that game? Which one?
Alright, just to draw you a picture, guys, I'm literally staring at my co-host here with just wide eyes in disbelief.
Which game was it in? I will remember it when you...
God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, if I remember correctly. They had underwater segments. Fucking God forbid, I think Chains of Olympus, you actually go to fucking Atlantis and sink it.
Nope, doesn't ring a bell. But,
Alright, anyway, let me finish my question. Do you feel those type of options under the accessibility tab for The Last of Us Part 2 or in other games in general, whichever ones it may have, do you consider those accessible options that, you know, make it easy, like, that help disabled people, or do you think those are just glorified cheats that anybody can use?
No, I mean, I don't see how being underwater, I mean, when like I said, going back to accessibility, that's not making it, that's changing the difficulty of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an accessibility improvement. You're not improving. Who the fuck needs assistance with laying on the ground and crawling? Like, maybe I could see that with, you know, hey, look, I have, like, really bad vision. I'm like, I don't know if that's a thing, though, where people can't see something when it's too laid down together. But I imagine your characters pretty stand out while they're laying down in The Last of Us. So, I mean, at that point, just put a marker, like a little red dot. That would be more like an accessibility assistance, you know?
Let's look at what the accessibility options are for The Last of Us Part 2 now I'm thinking about it.
Holy fuck, that was bright.
Okay. Visibility. So,
okay, that makes sense.
Hearing accessibility.
That makes sense. Motor accessibility also makes sense. Those accessibilities make sense.
remapping. But no, there's like other things. 1 minute. Aiming
Go down.
mode.
Look, breath mode. What is that?
Change the input method for holding your breath while aiming.
Keep going down. Assistance.
Okay,
Camera
here.
assist. Nah, that's normal. Auto weapon swap. Okay. Arc throw. That's nothing.
I know there's some that impact the gameplay. I know there's some that impact that.
Traversal assistance.
Infinite breath. There we go. Or skip puzzles. Automatically skip the puzzles in the game.
Okay, well, I could see. I still don't think that's in a lot of games, though. I mean, it's understandable for people who can't do puzzles.
Enhanced listen mode enables the ability to scan for items and enemies while in listening mode.
Okay, well, that just is making the game easier.
Yeah.
Go back up. You can increase the scan time and range too. Okay, go up more. I wanted to see what the ledge guard. Guards against falling off ledges and additional audio vibration.
Oh, prevents you from falling from ledges that will kill you.
Okay, so scroll up. What is this under the category?
Navigation traversal.
Okay, so basically they're saying you don't know how to play the fucking game.
Yeah,
Because
basically.
they're not only giving you a navigation assistance, they're giving you traversal assistance, making it so you can't fall off a ledge and kill yourself, making it so that you can breathe infinitely.
Where's the one for fucking...
Did I see something about a guitar? Go back up.
Guitar vibrations. Enables a vibration cue when the correct guitar note for story progression is selected. It's a mini game, so that doesn't really count.
Okay, I'm like, what the fuck?
Combat accessibility. Here we go. Hostages don't escape. Allies don't get grabbed. Enemies do not flank you. Enhanced dodge. Reduced enemy accuracy. Reduced eye of sight. Weapon sway. Invisibility while prone. Slow motion mode.
No.
Do you think those are accessibility options?
Those aren't accessibility. That is a difficulty down. At that fucking point, make it so there's an easy mode.
Not to mention...
But they don't want to put in, hey, look, here, play easy mode. It's because you suck. I feel like they're trying to, cover up people's weak hearts nowadays. Like, no, just they suck at the game. They can't play on that difficulty. What happened to the days in the gaming eras when there was times where you literally got made fun of for playing on the easiest difficulty? Like, wasn't there a couple games where they literally made fun of you?
Yeah. When you play on easier difficulty, you don't get like the true ending to a game. They're like, oh yeah, you gotta replay through the whole game on normal mode, pussy.
Yeah, or it's like, hey, play on baby mode. That was their version of easy mode.
Oh yeah, Wolfenstein baby mode. Oh yeah, but yeah, that's some of the accessibility options and
those aren't accessibility. That's just a difficulty decrease.
Now,
and it's game companies like this that are listening to people and saying that that's accessibility issues. Look up what the definition of accessibility is, please. I need to know that. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe accessibility has a different definition than what I think. Accessibility is the practice of making your websites. What? Websites usually by... Look up a dictionary definition of it.
For disabled.
Accessibility is when you need... Accessibility is when the needs of people with disabilities are specifically considered and products, services, and facilities are built or modified so they can be used by people of all abilities. Here are examples of accessibility parking. Okay. No, but see, I get accessibility. It technically means that the game's more available to more people, okay?
Yeah.
But when you think accessibility, it literally just stated it. It's for the disabled. So if you're stating that, you want those mechanics that should just change it to being an easy mode, right?
Yeah.
Then at that point, you need to just come out and start saying you're a disabled person overall. Like, you have some mental disability or something that you can't, it's not accessibility. I feel like they're stretching the terminology for that.
There's something I want to bring up here, I think. Which one is it for? Okay. this is my solution to the whole idea about difficulty settings. It's something that came up in my head because this was introduced in Persona 4 Golden for the PC. They decided to add in, um, certain things that happen. Persona 4 Golden, the player can also choose 5 difficulty options instead of 3. The two new difficulties added are very easy and very hard. Blah, blah, blah. But they can modify certain things, and here are the things they can modify. They can modify the damage taken from great to small, damage given great to small, XP 1, money 1, retries in dungeons and battles. And I feel like at first these sliders do seem a little.
And this is just based off what difficulty you selected, right?
That, and these are completely toggable on that difficulty. So, like, just say, for example, you want to play on the hardest difficulty level.
But you want retries in battles, you can give yourself that option.
Yes, or if you want to win more money than usual, you can do that.
Okay, well, those,
It goes back to the idea of what you're talking about with Elden Ring, with, like, giving yourself more health at the start of the game.
It's not, like, yeah, that's a cool feature. It's nice. It makes things easier for some people that want it like that.
Yep.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like you can. It's like going on and saying, "Hey, yeah, I beat the game on very hard difficulty, right? Which has great damage taken, small damage given, less money won, less AXP won, right? Let me just toggle all that so it's the same as very easy. So my damage taken is small in that. So I change all those settings, but technically I still beat it on very hard.
Well, here's my solution to that. Is I feel that what they should do with that type of... Like, I had a problem with that at first, but I feel like this could be a solution to fix that, is depending on, like, what things you adjust... Because if I'm right, that also appears in The Last of Us Part 2. It's also another feature. That's also completely tunable in the game. But I feel what they should do is that depending on like, what sliders you pick, it should adjust the difficulty dynamically. Let's just say it's normal across the board. Normal ammo gained, money, health, all that shit. But let's just say you want to play it... Like you want to tune up the amount of money you gain, but then you want to reduce how much health you have overall. And what happens is because you're gaining something but also losing something, the difficulty overall is still normal mode, but you're gaining more money as if you're playing it on easy mode. But in terms of health you have, you're on harder difficulty. I feel like it's like depending on like what settings you pick, the overall difficulty should like change. So if you decide to decrease the amount of winnings and health, it'll start going towards the hard mode. But if you decide to like do some risks, or not risks, you decide to take some stuff and give stuff away, it'll balance out and that'll be considered like a new normal difficulty, like adjusted normal, or customized normal, I guess. That's just a solution I have, but yeah.
But going back to just
accessibility,
as
accessibility,
a whole, right?
Yeah.
Games shouldn't be designed necessarily to be accessible by everyone. I get it. You want as many people to play your game as you can, right?
Yeah, or to appeal to a crowd.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, right, when you have to take out so much development time and effort to give all these different accessibilities to people,
yeah,
it sort of takes away from the game, because it's like, hey, look, we added in all these accessibility things, so all these different people that can play it, right? I'm like, if it doesn't improve an individual who has a real life disability like vision impaired, hearing impaired, or are missing limbs, or some motor impaired.
Yeah.
I'm like, if it's not improving one of those features to help those people to be able to play your game, it should not be considered an accessibility thing. It just shouldn't. If it's not helping somebody who has
considered a fucking cheat.
Yeah, if it's not helping somebody with a real disability, then it's not an accessibility feature. It's just, hey, we're putting this in here so that we are more, so that you basically, like you said, it's a fucking cheat for people who don't want to actually try the game and get good at the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a
But
little.
like I said, we're gonna watch a video on the Elden Ring. I'm not joking. Like we will get that. We'll watch it if we watch it before or while we're doing the podcast, just so we can talk about the shit that the guy says. Because I think even the person he was talking to at the end of it just said, "Yeah, I completely agree with you," and just was like wanting to end the whole conversation because it was just you're arguing points that it's like, but if they added in the like all those accessibilities we just seen on that game, right, on Last of Us Part 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine all those accessibilities added into Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, like
It completely ruins the game.
infinite stamina. No weight encumbrance. You have a wider hitbox, or the enemies have wider hitboxes. You can hit them from like 5 feet away. Yeah, there's some great accessibility options.
You can't fall off a ledge. Like,
oh yeah.
It takes away from games. It's not improving them. It's taking away from them.
To sum it up, it takes away from the original vision and difficulty the developers may have had in mind in favor of appealing to the crybabies that just can't put two and two together and go, hey, there's no railing up against this ledge. If I go up against the ledge, I may fall off and die.
Yeah, and it's like at that point, like I said, it's like, and it's not being mean to those people that say they want those accessibilities. But I mean, like, if you need those kind of accessibilities where you have to cheat basically in the game to play the game, then just play a different game or watch somebody else play the game. I get it's not the same feeling, but I mean, whenever you have to basically cheat to play the game, all you're doing is cheating yourself. It's like anything else. If you cheat at it, you're not getting the full experience. Like, just hunker down. Like, if you're really bad at the game, right, just say, screw it. You know what? I really want to play this game. I want to enjoy it. I'm going to get fucking good.
Yeah, I'm kind of at fault for that because that it goes back to Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I did use an exploit to power level myself. I didn't go through the story, though, because in my head, I wanted to use that as a separate save. When I actually did beat the game legitimately, I would actually, use that power character. But there was an instance where people were debating as to whether or not people should use this exploit when it was still around.
That's the same game where they had the EXP boosters and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck them. No, everyone should have been cheating in that case.
Yeah.
Because that was just microtransactions, and Ubisoft decided to be kicked in the dick with that one, so...
Well, that's the thing. Like, before there was the whole user-generated content, people abusing it that way, there was this XP exploit, and I'll never forget how you get it. If I remember correctly, what you had to do is you had to go into an arena or a fortress, kill everybody but knock out one guard. And if I'm right, you put him in like a corner or whatever to make it easier on you. And what you do is you had to bind the crouch and interact button at the same time, and all you literally did was teabag the fucking guy over and over and over again, and it counted as a kill for XP. And I shit you not, I was literally sitting here for 5 hours just reading Japanese manga while I just kept tapping the circle button over and over and over again for easy XP. But yeah, no. But in regards to that whole idea of cheating yourself out of experience, there was a guy that put up a post about, oh yeah, because you decided to use an exploit, you cheated yourself out of an experience that could have been satisfying for you. You cheated yourself out how the game was meant to be played. And yeah, I do that sometimes, but it depends on the individual.
And it also very drastically depends on the game company and what they're doing. Because like you said with Odyssey, they did some shady ass shit.
Oh yeah, selling you a permanent XP booster for $10, money booster.
And they lowered the overall EXP you would get, didn't they?
Well, no,
they increased the EXP amount you needed.
No, how it was described was, at least from some people that bought the pack, like, actual journalists, they said that before I bought the booster, it did feel like a slog, but then as soon as you spent the $10 on the XP booster, they said with the XP booster enabled, it felt like the progression was more... not meaningful, but it felt like that's what it was supposed to be before the game released. So you could imply that it felt like Ubisoft nerfed it to encourage people to actually buy the booster.
This is a single-player game we are talking about.
Single-player game all the way, yes.
How the fuck...
to make money.
...do you need... But that's why I mean, like, no single-player game. No. I mean, unless there's some kind of fucking leaderboard online that you're competing with other people, right? Should there ever be an EXP booster?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, dude? And if you bought that, did you feel bad for yourself afterwards?
Thankfully, I didn't buy it because thankfully I discovered that bit between the teabagging glitch and the user generated content. So at that point, I never felt the need to get it because the players themselves provided the ability for you to power level your character. But it was also because of that it kind of pissed into Ubisoft's cornflakes because Ubisoft restricted the ability to find these, in the name of, we're limiting and removing these XP grinding quests because we feel it devalues, prevents other creators that are making genuine stories from having their stories be heard and told.
They really sweet talked that one.
Oh yeah, they definitely sweet talked it. It totally wasn't because of the fact that people were using this to avoid buying XP boosters and money bundles.
I will give them that. They sweet talked that
one.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a pretty convincing story. I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, at least leave one of the EXP grinds in there because you guys are shady as fuck for that.
No, I want to boot up Odyssey right now to see if maybe there is some, because I think they're still available. You can still find them. You just can't find them in the search bar, I think.
Okay. Well, I mean, that, like, as long as they didn't get rid of them completely, because, I mean, that was just, it's a single-player game.
If they can find some way to monetize it more, fuck no.
That's why I'm worried about NFTs.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, that's a whole nother topic for another day. Because, I mean, NFTs are, oh my God. Because I've been working on trying to make games. I listen to a bunch of other people who've made games talking stuff, and this one guy was talking about putting NFTs in your game and stuff and making, content for it. And it's just like, okay, that's cool. You make your business more money, but at the same time, you're taking away from a lot of people. But
especially making the game grindier and harder for the purpose to sell these microtransactions.
There's a whole game that I keep seeing ads for where you buy mechs, right, as NFTs, right? And there's going to be unique mechs for every NFT, and they keep doing auctions for it, right?
Oh, God, go on.
And, I mean, that's just, I look at it, so I'm like, there's going to be there's a limited amount of people who are able to play the game in the world because they're only selling so many of these tanks.
That's the only thing that I think of when I think of a mech. I gotta get Titan.
Oh no, but the supposed gameplay trailers for this NFT game.
It looks beautiful. I bet.
No, it fucking looks dog shit.
Oh, never mind.
And the mechs look like dog shit too. And
Expectation averted.
They've done nothing from what I went on their website because I was really curious about it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing on the website. I mean, I was like, is this a real thing? Is this just a test to see how people respond? Are they lying about what they're saying?
Are they basically selling people false dreams?
They could be. And, there might never actually be a game for people to buy. And I swear, they say the ads I've seen, like, they were on their third auction for the mechs or whatever. I haven't seen any videos since. It's been a couple months since I've seen the videos for it, right? So they might be completely done auctioning mechs, right? But there was only, I think they made like 36 mechs or something in total. So that means that there's only going to be 36 people at the launch of the game who can actually play the fucking game.
Wow, that's definitely a real moneymaker.
But they were auctioning these mechs, I think, for a couple grand. So they're making all their money based off of that now. And then what they're saying is that, now since you're in an exclusive game, right? You'll be able to turn around, take your mech, and sell it for a couple grand so somebody else gets an opportunity to play that game. That's hot dog shit. Because I think the whole basis of it was going around.
Dude, it just sounds like a scam.
Yeah, it probably is. Like I said, I haven't seen ads for it anymore, so maybe they got caught for being a scam.
It's a scam, guys. Pass it around.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so the idea is supposed to be what? You get the ad, right? You get the game, you get the NFT, right? You play the game, and then you turn around because the game's supposedly going to become a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to take your NFT you spent $1,000 on, so you can
help them make a return investment by upcharging the price.
Yeah, and you make like 10 grand off of it or something supposedly, right? And then not only would you make 10 grand, but the company who made the original NFT would make, I think, a 5% cut or something like that of the original NFT. Right. So every time that the game proceeds to get resold, they're going to make money like that now.
So that's how
that's why I talk about NFTs coming into actual other games, right? Go ahead.
Money for nothing.
Yeah. That's why it's like...
Dire straits, baby.
So it's like, okay, now they're trying to add NFTs into the games. Even if the NFTs, like, say, only worth $1, it passes through, people sell it to each other, $2 here, $5 here, $2, $3, right? That shit adds up if it goes through 1,000 people. And so it's going to become a game of not. You're not playing a game. You're playing real life market.
Did you read the article from? Once again, it's about Ubisoft. They just love NFTs. Did you read the article about the fact that to reward their employees for sticking around with them and making these great, ambitious AAA open world games that defy, that define the industry, they decided to reward their employees with a hat that was based off of an NFT hat they're selling in Rainbow Six Siege.
No, get the fuck out. Because it's stupid when you look at it. Because it's like, when you look at game companies, when you look at some other game, you have game companies like Ubisoft, EA, Square Enix. Like, I'm pretty sure I've heard all of them mention they want to put NFTs in their games, right?
Oh, totally, yep.
I haven't heard anything from people like Insomniac or like From Software, game companies that make really fucking solid games pretty consecutively, right? I mean, they have some failures here and there, but I mean, they make pretty solid games all around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I haven't heard any of them talk about wanting to put NFTs in their game.
Because they're actually sane individuals.
Yeah, because I feel like at the end of the day, they probably know that it's not going to really take off. At least not now. It's not going to take off until, like, the metaverse and shit gets way bigger.
The metaverse.
And that also goes back into the whole fact that that's if NFTs are going to even be as accessible as people are making them out to be.
I feel like a grandfather here. Like, I feel like that old granddad who's used to watching, like, all of his old telly programs on a television, and he just had his grandkid just working a fucking iPhone watching YouTube. I feel like that with gaming. I just prefer a $60 game, thank you kindly, it's completed.
We're lucky to get a completed game nowadays for $60.
Oh yeah, nowadays it's $60 early access.
Yeah. I mean, you look at NFTs, though. I remember, because there's one guy, was named Gary Vee or whatever, he talks a lot about NFTs. I was listening to him talk, right? He's like, oh yeah, buy NFTs, sell them, and you make a lot of money off of them. I'm like, okay.
Sounds like a Ponzi scheme.
But, like, I look at these NFTs that sell for a lot of money, right? As soon as they sell for a lot of money, right? And typically the ones that are worth a lot of money are in hands of famous people, right? It seems to be that it's worth a lot of money because it's owned by a famous person. As soon as somebody buys that NFT from them, the value of that NFT fucking plummets.
Yep.
Like, instantly. And I'm just like, so how is this supposed to be a lucrative market? It's a lucrative market for those who are famous. So, I mean, I might be wrong. We never know what's going to happen with cryptocurrency, NFTs as a whole. But, I mean, I just want to get that quick opinion out there about it.
My 2 cents, NFTs have to fucking die because I don't even want to see NFTs in my fucking great fucking video games. Yeah. But going off of NFTs and accessibility, because that was a huge fucking tangent from health regen and healing mechanics in games.
Well, that's what all these podcasts are always going to be.
Of course, rants.
And now I'm going to try my best to be like, hey, this is the topics talked about in the thing. I didn't even do it for our first podcast because we covered so many different topics.
Oh my god, yeah. That yeah, you gotta work on that, bud. But
we're new to the whole system, but yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. But okay, going back to health regen and gaming or health mechanics.
I have nothing further to say on them, except that you know, I liked it when in Ratchet and Clank because I'm a Ratchet and Clank fanboy in the old games, where it only was in the first game. Where you only had like a limited amount of hits, and then you could upgrade your hit points by paying money.
Oh, it's like that in all the other games, isn't it?
No, it's not like that. It becomes an XP thing. But I mean, in the first game, I liked the mechanic because it's like, oh hey, you get more money based off of the fact that you drink. What was it? I can't remember the name of it, but basically, I think it was like a drink that had like nanobots in it or something that you drink. And it's like, hey, you get an extra hit point, but you got to pay money towards it, which goes back into that whole
gameplay loop.
Well, mainly it was in the first and second game, but they talk about pretty much corporations' greed and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a satire on, like, reality or whatever, because it's like a lot of companies do whatever it takes just to get more money out of you.
Oh, yeah.
And every time you want to go upgrade your health, it costs more money.
Oh, yeah, they got to bleed you dry for a little bit of fucking survival.
I liked in those games when they did that kind of stuff because it was just like, Like, holy shit, dude! I'm trying to save the fucking universe, and I gotta pay you 200,000 bolts to progress the fucking story.
Jesus, fuck, that's just as bad as the few million you gotta pay for the fucking Rhino.
Oh god.
But I don't know. I just wanted to fucking talk about some healing mechanics and how they could be improved. I mean, I just feel like there's some games that have great healing mechanics. I just feel like why aren't those revisited in later games? I guess, yeah, it is about the idea of, trying to streamline the experience and not overwhelm you with so many different layers and mechanics. But I just feel like that extra layer could add in a little bit of extra suspense or excitement. Like, again, back to the whole idea, if you put on some body armor or like a light vest, there could be pros and cons to it, and there could be like an added effect. If you get shot in that area, you have to pluck the bullets off it, while if you don't wear it, if it does get dug into you and you're still moving, you have to dig it out with, like, a pair of scissors or some shit. I don't know, just like that extra added visual is a really good thing. It just adds to it, I suppose. But that's just my thoughts on it. I just wanted to bring it up with my co-host here to, get an idea out there. And,
yeah, which expanded into accessibility and also NFTs.
Oh, yeah.
Because we just go on tangents after tangent after tangent.
But it does add some excitement and variety to these podcasts. But I will end it here for now. This is GT Gaming Den's The Lobby. Thank you for listening. We'll be back to you within the next 12 hours or a couple days. Who fucking knows when we do these podcasts?
We're going to do as many as we can because we hate our jobs.
Oh, yes, and it's the only thing that brings excitement to our lives. So we will see you guys next time. Ciao.